Awesome. Well, I'm super stoked to chat with you today because this is so exciting that you directed, wrote, produced, starred in a movie. Tell me about why now? Like, why did you want to make this pivot?
So I have, I believe it or not, I went to film school like many decades ago, and
Where'd you go to film school?
I went to USC film school,
Ooh.
and it was funny when I went to film school that far back. I it was a I never understood how I could direct actors without taking any acting classes, and at the time they did not have that part of the curriculum. So I went
Oh.
off on my own and I started taking acting classes, and I just got sucked into that. I mean, I was acting in other people's films, student films, but I fell into a group, and it was a pretty cool group, pretty prestigious, and this place called the Loft, and a lot of people came out of it. These teachers, it was Peggy Fury and Bill Traylor, and everybody from there's a certain era like Sean Penn, Michelle Pfeiffer, Nicolas
Mm-hmm.
Cage. All these people were there, so I just got a glimpse of what that was
Oh.
about, and then I started doing a lot of theater too,
Oh,
and
cool.
so it just so happens that I just pivoted for a while. I worked behind the camera a lot in the art department, and then yeah, I did make another feature, but it wasn't the best experience with the producer, so I kind of gave it a rest for a while, and I just focused on acting for the last, I don't know, 10, 20 years, 15 years maybe.
So why? So what? How, like what changed when you thought, or not changed, but like why were you called to try it again and get behind the camera as a
You know what it
detective?
was? Because I've done, so again, over the last, I don't know, 15, 20 years, I do a lot of music videos, short films. It's not like I haven't
Yeah.
stopped doing it. I
Yeah.
just, I direct one acts. But so I was out promoting the Munsters
Mm-hmm.
and at a horror convention in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And they told me, "Hey, Sunday morning, you're going to be talking to these young filmmakers at like 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning," which was 3 hours. I was completely like, "What? Okay." So I show up there, and it's like 7 o'clock in the morning to me, and there was 40 very enthusiastic filmmakers, young people, and I just started like rambling and saying, well, this is how I did it. This is how I would do it. These are the things that I did and I made mistakes. Um, how to go about the technical things that are happening now, sound, how important it is, how to it's just all these things that you can make happen if you want to do it. Make your list of locations, people,
Yeah.
props, and you could turn around and make something kind of cool. How to do a table read, how to do this. Anyway, I rambled for an hour, and I came out um, like kind of like exhausted, and then I came back to Los Angeles, and I was like, why? I'm just telling them how to do it. Why aren't I doing this myself, kind of thing? And why don't I
Yeah.
make my list of all the people that I could pull in and do something like this as a feature? And then that's what I did. And I had one guy whose name is Kent Isaacs, my producer, and he's a very encouraging guy. And he's just like, well, let's just do it. Let's just start making it. And they go, well, we don't really have the financing yet. And he goes, and he's a Swedish guy, and he's just very positive, and he's just like, so what? Why don't we just do it anyway? And I'm like, yeah, I guess you're right. And so again, there's one place I have in Altadena. There's a ranch. It's called Zorthian Ranch, and I shoot a lot of
What
stuff
a
up
good
there.
name.
Yeah, no, this place is crazy. They actually use it in the movie or TV show Aquarius. They shoot a lot of stuff there. It was like the Charles Manson house and Aquarius, and
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's just this
Okay.
very eclectic, art commune. Super nice people. I've known them for years, and so I knew I was going to probably shoot some of it there. And both Kent and I know this person in Mexico who has a farm in Baja. So we go, okay, we could shoot some in Mexico, and then we could double it for Zorthian Ranch. And so that's what we did. So another guy I knew, again, it's like, I mean, I've been doing this for over 30 years. So it's like the DP I knew, he was a photographer assistant for this guy, Albert Watson, who's a big, huge photographer. Did a Rolling Stone, magazine covers. He did Sade cover on, our album cover. He's just like this
Oh wow!
iconic guy.
Holy cow!
And I would work for him a little, and so did Keith. And we would talk about it. And then I ran into him, like I hadn't seen the guy in probably 15, 20 years. And he lives here in Los Angeles. And I go, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. He goes, hey, I'm in. As long as you can work
That's so
around my
cool.
schedule, let's do it. So it's like all these kind of guys are just like, as long as you're respectful with my time, and I'm all in. So we just started gathering this group of people. I know a lot of actors, and I
Yeah.
just started crafting this story around what I knew I could pull off. It was like a Robert Rodriguez thing where you make your list of what you have, and try to make it work. And that's how it started, and then it just kept snowballing.
Oh, that's so cool. I was curious about how like that all went down in terms of the story. So that's so cool to hear that you started from locations and where you could kind of
Yeah.
what you could, that's
I'm
awesome.
very practical on that. I hate to like write some elaborate, scheme or plot that I can't make happen, or but like I said, this guy Keith Coleman, my DP, he has all the cameras, drones, all the equipment. Kent, he learned how to do the sound. So the three of us just went down to Mexico. We shot on the streets of Tijuana, like, and we just got all this amazing footage. I didn't know what we were going to get exactly, and of course I did write a script, but it just kept changing like randomly as we kept going. I don't know. We just built it. Up until the very end, I just added another big thing, and I put Barbara Crampton in it. You know what I mean? It's just like the way it evolved. I didn't have the whole concept in the beginning, but it just formed,
That's so
evolved.
cool.
And
That
that's a Rob
sounds
Zombie thing too. That's a Rob Zombie. I have to give him a lot of credit. Like he's when he's on the set, if he sees something that's not going right, he's not precious about anything. Like he's just like, okay, this isn't working. Whether it's a performance, whether writing, whatever it is, let's just pivot and go this direction. And it works so often for him, and that's basically, I kind of followed his line of thinking.
well. It's so important too. Like I'm a made my first feature and learned very quickly. Like don't be pressed. Like being practical is the best way to be, and sometimes you have to kill your darlings, which sucks. But also like it
Yeah.
almost always ends up being the right thing to do.
And
Um.
the funny thing is when you say that, it's like in this movie too, I use so much footage from past things that I've done,
Oh,
like,
cool.
and I wove them into it, and you get this landscape in the main character's head, this footage that's this reel that keeps playing of all these things that happened over the years. Some of the footage is like 20 years old. The main character, one of the main characters, is this kid in it. He's not a kid anymore. He's like 24. But I shot him when he was a baby with Super 8. He's in the movie.
Wait, that's
The other
so
two
cool.
actors, yeah. So this particular one's just a passion project that, like you said, like it might have got cut from something else or it didn't work, but for some reason I wove it into this. So,
Wait, that's cool. So this movie's pretty personal for you then, in a way.
and, it is, and it's also just like, yeah, it just fell into place. It
That's
fell into
awesome.
place. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
so
We
cool.
made it
And that's
work.
got to be like really freeing as a creative too, especially when you've said you've had like, not great experiences in the past with making movies, like having this and doing this pretty independently. It
Yeah,
sounds
I
like
mean,
for a
very
lot like
independently.
it's like very DIY, just like three guys with a camera walking around Mexico. Like that's
Yeah.
badass and kind of cool. Like especially you've been in so many like big movies. I don't know. That sounds refreshing, but maybe correct me if I'm wrong. Challenging
No,
by no
no,
means, but I do not think it's easy. But it's like a different headspace.
different headspace because like we'd shoot for 3 days or 2 days, and then I'd edit it with my editor, this guy Mark Cohen, who's done all my stuff or most of my stuff, and I'd see how things are working, or we go, okay, this is not working, and this is working better. Let's just add more, and then we'll shoot some more of this. Or the DP is like, the rain isn't working here. Let's try to shoot some. Just like we just kept
Yeah.
redoing it, doing it, because we didn't have to answer to anybody because the financing was so low, you know,
Yeah.
which is, yeah, freeing, I guess.
Freeing and what? It's like one of those things where it's like, yes, it's freeing, but also, the financing end of things is always like, but we would like more money. It would be
Right.
nice.
Well, that's what I mean. It's surreal too. So, I mean, as you know, it's going to premiere at Fright Fest, which,
Yeah.
like something like
So
this, you go,
cool.
okay, yeah, we ended up pulling off something, and now we're going to show it in London, and we're going there to celebrate. It's not about like winning awards or anything. It's just more like this is real. I mean, you could make it happen if you guys are just persistent, tenacious, and just trying to like. And that's kind of what we do, you know.
That's amazing. And like that's actually so. It's also very inspiring to be like, yeah, just go out and make the project. Like,
I'm telling you,
just
it
because
was
you
like these
can.
young filmmakers. That's what I was. I came out of there like it was exactly that. It's like, well, what about actors? We're in Michigan. I go to your community theaters. You have different colleges around here. Like, people want to help you out. You just have to like,
Look.
put it out there. Try to bring it. Do readings. See how what works before you go on the set. Just work it, and they were just like, "Yeah, that's a great idea." And it was just, I don't know, it was just that's how you were in film school. I just remember,
Oh, yeah.
like at a USC, I came from an art school, so it's like I didn't know anything. I didn't even, I didn't even know anything about USC, believe it or not. A friend of mine said these are the three schools because I was going to school in Italy, and these are the
Ooh.
three schools. It was USC, UCLA, and NYU. Those are the ones you got to try. And I was too late on the two, and I went for the other. I had no idea. I drove up from Chicago. I thought I was at the beach. I didn't know where I was, what the heritage. I didn't know anything about that school. And so I'm like with the wheelchair as my dolly and a suit, and we're doing shoot Super 8 film, and then somebody will show up with a grip truck and a rain machine, and you're like, what the, in the same class, and you're going, but it taught me that's how it is. That's how it is. Some people are hooked up and some people aren't.
I love that. A Super 8 camera in a wheelchair. Like, you're like, this
Yeah.
is my steady cam. And they're like,
Yeah, no, that's how I was making it. I mean, I was with, a crack addict downtown doing a documentary, and this guy's like on a big Hollywood set with, 10K lights and stuff. It's just,
that's
that's
wild.
how life is, I guess.
Yeah. Wow.
Film
That's
life.
film, I know. So I was curious about what it was like to star in the film, but it sounds like it was more out of necessity than anything else,
Yes.
right?
So that's
Okay.
another thing. That's like an art school thing. You go, why do these artists have so many self-portraits? Because you're going to show up, and you could, at any time you try to get somebody to just show up. I mean, I was very smart to try to limit like how much I was going to ask from people because I didn't have much to offer. And,
Yeah,
some
okay.
people just came in for a few hours. Some people came in for a day. So I knew I would show up the whole time, and I've done a bunch of stuff on my own. So
Yeah.
it's just a
Cool.
shorthand.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes sense. Cool. But you mentioned your editor, and I love the way this is edited to mimic that kind of spiral into madness that we're
yeah,
experiencing. I just wanted to hear more about that collaboration and like kind of what you wanted to accomplish with the editor and like what kind of the thought was behind that because it is really cool hearing about like using like your own archival footage in a way, but you're really
yeah.
creative with the camera, and sometimes it almost feels like found footage a little bit, you know what I mean, like with some of like the handy cam with the hand cam stuff. So I just wanted to hear more
So
about
did you
that.
see the movie, or I didn't
Yeah.
even know? Oh, I didn't even know you watched it. That
Oh
doesn't
yeah,
even.
I got a screener. I asked for
Oh,
I got one because I was
I
like
had
it
no
would
idea.
probably
I had
be a
no
better
idea.
interview if I've actually seen the movie.
No,
Yeah,
I didn't know that. I
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
know you did. Yeah, yeah. Well, that's exactly it. So yeah, like when he's talking about, yeah, I first saw her in a commercial, and then I wanted to make sure you saw that these tapes became like this fever dream in his head that he kept thinking about because he knew it was like he was trying to right a wrong, and he was just haunted by this woman, and quite frankly I don't think he ever met her. You know what I mean? Like he knew her from the
yeah,
tapes, he knew her from the footage, he knew he failed, he knew like maybe he can help the son like he should have helped her. He just
yeah,
cracked. So
yeah.
yeah, it was like I had Super 8, I had old video, I had so much stuff to go from because I have, and then I had different looks over the years and long hair and beards and whatnot. So it kind of fit,
I
I
love
think.
that. That's so cool. That again, like what a cool kind of experiment? Is that a good way to put what this might be?
I,
Experiment?
I mean, yeah. Someone said a homemade fever dream.
Yeah,
So,
I would see
so it's
that.
just like that in his mind. It was just like this thing that he just thinks about. And quite frankly, some of it is also a premonition. Like he has a
Yeah,
trying to see, but at the same time, he's just stuck in a rut.
that's
So
so
yeah, it
well.
was. Yeah, the two of us just. I kept saying, "Hey, do you remember that thing that I did?" Or I'd give him a drive, and I go, "Check out this stuff. Can we use any of this? There's a part in this that we could use." Or yeah, I don't
Save
know.
everything, everyone. This is
Yeah,
another testament of why you should save everything and make sure you're
yeah.
archiving your own work so you might be able to use it later.
Right, and like you just said, it's like, oh, stuff that didn't, you started it, it didn't work.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I could tell you the one. There's
Yeah.
another scene where he comes in with a gun with the drug den kind of thing, and that was just like a teaser of something bigger, a whole script. But I
Oh,
just wove it into this. I just
like
kept weaving it in.
that's so cool. Like that just gives us like it's so the context is so cool. Like after watching the movie and it being like this all feels very disjointed in a weird way. And hearing this like not in a bad way, but like a fever dream and like it feels like memory in the way that it just like is connected but feels disjointed and that makes a lot of sense too with how you like pieced stuff together. That's really cool.
Yeah, and with the actors too. I've known them for 15, 20 years, and I've like the main woman. I did something with her probably 15 years. The black and white footage is her, and I shot her 15, 20 years ago. And then like maybe 10 years ago, I was on stage with her opening for Rob Zombie. I was emceeing as this character, and we sang "Happy Birthday" to Sherry, and she's a burlesque. She
Oh,
has a burlesque
cool.
following. Her name is Audrey Deluxe in that
Ooh.
world.
Okay. Hell yeah.
So I was able to. I don't know. She's just everybody was game. Everybody was game.
That's so
Same thing with the kid Finnegan, who's 24. He's got this rock star. He's a rock star now. He plays all over the world. He's kind of big in Mexico and stuff. But I knew him as a
dang.
baby. It's just to see the kid evolve, and now I just wove that into it. Him and
That's
the
so
rapper knew each other. Conejo. Those two record together. They do music, so I wove that into it.
that's so cool.
Yeah.
Wow. So then what was it like filming in Mexico? What was your experience like
That was
there? How long were
scary.
you there? It was
It was scary. It was really scary because on the streets in Tijuana is not, you have to be so discreet. I wouldn't recommend that, and I'm sure it's against every rule in the union and everything. But the three of us just did it more as a scout. When we got to the farm, though, the funny part, we told the owner we were coming, but she wasn't going to get there until later the day, and she told us how to get in. So the three of us showed up, and we're like, well, we're not going to wait for her. Let's just start shooting, right? And the dogs were there, the horses, we just started shooting and shooting and shooting to the point where I'm bloody. I'm laying in a trailer on a bed, and then all of a sudden this poor Mexican woman walks in and she goes, "What's what?" Like in Spanish. She doesn't speak any English. She's just like, "What's going on?" Like, and we're like, "Oh, we didn't know anybody else lived there." And here she's like these big crazy bloody gringos are running around and like I didn't even know that was her place. But we shot them there. I mean, it was just like mad. And then that night we slept outside and it was like 35 degrees. It was just like this whole thing was madness. The three of us just kept
every
shooting.
story about this movie is so incredible. It's
The,
like yeah.
the, we did these incredible drone shots over these canyons and stuff. And then because there's no GPS in certain parts, and it just went down, and like this huge. So my DP had to climb the side of the mountain to get his drone, and he comes back and he falls on this barbed wire. It was stuck in his back. Like this guy's incredible. And then we are just like pulling the barbed wire, and he's just like, "Don't worry about it." We're just like, "You're gonna get tetanus." No, let's just keep shooting, and that's how we did it. I don't know. It's like when you get guys like that, and even some of the actors. it's just like it just makes it more exciting and more like
Yeah.
everybody's down for it. You know,
And like they
nobody's
care
precious.
about
There's
it.
no ego. There's no
Yeah.
ego. And again, I'm gonna go back to this Rob Zombie. Like he tends to hire people with no ego, and everybody's trying to work towards the same thing. And a lot of people are supporting. Whenever you see someone being kind of a diva or something, you're probably not going to see that person around anymore. So
Yeah.
you just surround yourself with people that you could trust and that have the same goals, and they just want to be part of it for the and they want to go on the ride.
That's so wow, what a cool experience. What like a cool
Yeah,
and
no, it was great. It was
painful,
great, and
weird, chaotic.
yeah, but it revives you like to do these kind of things. And again, the festival, that's just a cool, like, cherry on the top. It's not so much like I don't. It's great. They're very
Yeah.
great people, but that's not why I'm doing it. I just want to get it out there, make it, and most of it's for me is making it.
Yeah, and like being able to do that and make your own stuff every once in a
Yeah.
while, and like write your own stuff too. Because how often do you write? Like, do you write scripts a lot, even if they're just for you?
Yeah, I have a fair amount. Again, I came out of this playwriting group, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
there are a lot of uh, theater pieces that we did, and so that was the other thing. So from that studio, then I got involved in this other group called the Padua Hills Playwrights, and it was started by Sam Shepard. And so all these
Oh,
people would come out in the summer to Southern California, and they'd have these workshops, and then they'd put up these site-specific plays at a university wherever they ended up. One time it was in Northridge, one time it was in Padua Hills. And so like people like Ed Harris, Amy Madigan, Joe Montana, like these people just come out for the summer. So I got involved in this group and the offshoots of
ooh,
this group, and that's how it is. It's like everybody throws in, and a lot of my writing came out of there, and the concepts of how to shape characters and everything. So that's what I've always been doing. It's not always, you know, it's not cookie cutter. It's a little more
yeah.
experimental.
Hell, yeah. That's so cool though. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
I hope. I'm glad you actually saw the movie. I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I'm glad I did too because I think and it's more fun to talk a little bit more in depth about it too. Just getting into like again because I love like it's got like a David Lynchy fever dream vibe to it, and the way that it's shot, and the way that it feels, and the way it's all just like the disjointed kind of way that you create memory, the feeling of memory with it. So it's cool to hear about how that happened.
Well, the other thing too is it's like it was my ode to the B movie. Like
Yeah,
back in the golden age, you'd have like the A movie, and then they'd have the B movie. They didn't have as
yeah,
much money. They did a lot of the genres, like the crime and the horror and the sci-fi and westerns, but they relied more on character development and more unconventional plot twists and pushing the boundaries of film. Like that was more of what I thought I could do. Partly because they influenced me a lot as a kid. I'd watch these monster movies and whatnot,
cool,
and
yeah.
then there was one movie I saw when I was too young with my parents. It was called Race with the Devil, and it's Warren Oates and Peter Fonda, and it's just these Satan worshippers, and I just thought that was even more interesting. Like the people were scarier than the monsters, like
Yeah,
so. Those are the movies that kind of shaped me when I was young,
cool.
and they're also the type of movies that are within reach budget wise, and that's why I kind of went for that too. I didn't want to, I wanted to make it a little rougher and then
Yeah,
maybe a little more absurd and a little scarier, but more.
yeah. I also really love the voiceover that you add, the very noir feeling voiceover. Are you in, like why did you opt for the voiceover? Was it again like out of necessity or like I liked having that vibe to it to give it that noir feeling.
Yeah, so the noir definitely. It was like the Jim Thompson, or there's this plays I used to listen to a lot. It was like Johnny Dollar,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
hard-boiled detective. And so, yeah, I
Cool.
knew I was going to do it. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do, and a lot of
Okay.
it was done in the editing.
Okay,
I
cool.
mean, I wrote down notes what I wanted to say, but I thought it would be better to keep him as an observer, and then you go into his head, so he wouldn't just be
Cool.
rambling the whole time to people. I can actually watch, like, so if you remember with the woman that's doing her little theater thing
Yeah,
at
yeah.
the her name is Jacqueline Wright, extremely talented actress in LA, and she does these one woman shows. I just wanted him to be an observer of what he's seeing and not necessarily like commenting the whole time.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and here's the other thing, the low budget angle. Again, I tell you this not to like beat my chest, but more like you could pull it off. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? A young filmmaker or a person that doesn't have all of the money. I did all of my voiceover with my phone.
It's good
Everything.
quality mic. It's not that bad quality microphone, really. Like it.
Yeah, and all the phone calls that people made, they did it in their voice memos and they sent it to me. So I didn't have a recording
That's
studio. I
neat.
didn't have any of that. I did it on my phone. And even while we were editing, I'd go, "Oh, I have an idea," and I'd walk into the closet and I would do it, and then we'd lay it in, and it would work.
Oh, that's so cool.
So there's ways to do it now. The technology is there.
Yeah.
I mean, not all movies and all subjects, but in this particular one, I just thought it
Yeah.
fit.
That's so cool. Wow.
So part of it was necessity. Part of it was making a homage to those movies that I had a big impact on me.
That's awesome. What were some of your favorites growing up?
Like I said, that one I just stuck
Like,
with me.
yeah.
Race with the Devil.
Raise of the
I don't
Devil.
know.
I've heard of. I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool one. I mean, they have a lot more money. Obviously, there's car crashes but I threw a motorcycle in there because the DP has a motorcycle, and we went to Death Valley, him and I,
Oh,
and then
so cool.
and then I was filming him on the motorcycle. Like we just like kept shooting and shooting. He goes, yeah, I know these mine shafts in Death Valley. Okay, let's go. So we did it. You know,
Just mine shafts in Death Valley. Like that's
yeah,
fine. It's like a found footage horror movie in and of itself. Going inside.
yeah. But we couldn't because we couldn't ask the actors to do it, so we would do that, and then okay, we find her in the mine shaft, but it was actually the producer's crawl space at his house. You know what I mean? Like we just made it
Movie
work.
magic. Movie magic is so cool. Just like
Yeah,
it's
and
neat.
here's the thing, like all this stuff should have been behind the scenes. This is what I'm struggling with right now because there's a DVD release. They've already had Anchor Bay Entertainment. They already have a
Yeah.
DVD release, and it's 12/10. Well, there was only a few of us. Who's going to shoot us? So now I'm like trying to piece this together, tell the story, and show what I can because we didn't. I mean, we only had so much footage
Yeah, you
and
didn't have, and
crew.
you want to tell because you're like, but there were so many cool things we did to make this happen, and we
Yeah, we
made.
didn't. I mean, we didn't have grips and gabbers and sound, and we were just like, it was crazy.
That's so cool. That is like actually incredibly inspiring though to like go and make a movie and just like do it. It's really that's so cool. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing so many cool stories about this movie. I'm really excited to write this up. This is such a cool like there's such a cool story behind the film.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really proud, and like I said, all these people came through for me, and I couldn't have made it with everybody that pitched in. It wasn't, I wasn't the lord over this whole project. It was more like this group of people that tried to make it happen. So I'm extremely proud of what we pulled off. Um, and then again, I just come back after that, and I'm still doing commercials to make ends meet. I'm the Geico caveman. I've been doing a bunch of that stuff. I don't know if you know that. Did you know that? No. You know the Geico caveman, those commercials?
Oh yes, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, like I just shot a series of those like a week ago. And then I got to read this right because I don't want to get in trouble. I I just shot this other thing, a TV series. I did a character and here because they told me that I couldn't talk about, but I'm excited to share. I'll be on the upcoming prequel series Dexter: Original Sin in a guest starring role. So I got that in too, like.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Dang!
yeah, and
What a
hopefully
cool
there's more of
time.
that. Yeah, so like here I am like in somebody's crawl space shooting that, and then the next thing I'm working with Christian Slater and that on a TV show. So
The duality of performers and filmmakers.
well, yeah, and after COVID, after the strike, it's just like you just got to keep a lot of irons in the fire. You
Yeah,
got to
you really
just keep
do.
moving because you never know what's around the corner.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah, it'll be a commercial, it'll be a TV show, it'll be this thing, it'll be whatever.
Booked and busy, as they
Make it
say.
happen, man. Make it happen.
Oh yeah. Well, thank you so much for all your time. This is
No.
this is really really cool to get to hear everything about this movie. It's
Oh, good.
pretty
Well, good. I'm
awesome.
glad. I'm glad you saw it, and I'm
Yeah.
glad it's out there, and I'm glad a bunch of people will see it. And
And
again,
that'll be a good crowd to watch it with. I've never been to Fright Fest, but genre festivals, everyone's just like so excited, and I feel like they're always such good crowds to watch movies with.
yeah, and it's a late night one. So I
And
think
they'll
that's always
appreciate
more
it.
fun.
Like they'll react, and people will be
I
there
hope.
because they
Yeah.
care. And
Yeah, and if not, there's a bunch of us going. Well, I'll just have a good laugh, and it's
yeah,
fun to
because
see.
and he gets to go to England. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's all no complaints. Everything's been great. I'm always
Awesome.
surprised at how this thing has evolved.
That's so cool. Well, again, congratulations, and
Thank you.
thanks for chatting. And this will all be out on Friday, so this will be out in the world.
Great. And this was very painless. I don't do a lot of interviews at all, and I only when there's something to promote, I kind of keep to myself. But so this was great. But I'm
Yeah,
excited about this, and I'm proud
yeah.
of it, what we pulled off. So
Hell yeah. Well, it definitely shows in the movie and in you talking about it. So awesome. Well, Xavier, thank you so much for setting this up and recording.
and
That's
remember, Anchor Bay. You're gonna write all this in there. Anchor Bay, 10/29. It's streaming, and the DVD is 12/10. And I don't know if you could put this in yet. You might be able to. I could find out. But we're doing a screening in Los Feliz at the Los Feliz 3. I
oh
think
cool.
9/9,
Yeah,
9/9.
confirm that if you could just triple or let me know who to
Yeah,
ask or who's
September
gonna be.
9th for Cinematic Void. Do you know
Oh,
those guys?
okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know those guys.
Are you in LA? I don't even know where you're at. I mean,
No, I'm on the East Coast.
oh,
I'm
I
in.
didn't know.
Yeah.
All right. I didn't know. All right.
No, no,
Anyway,
you're
so
fine. You're fine. I know a lot of stuff in LA. I just don't live there.
yeah, I now that I know that it's gonna be, like I said, I got a bunch of work happening in September, but maybe we get out and do some more screenings just before it streams, like
Yeah.
live. It might be fun.
Cool.
So maybe get to the
Awesome.
East
Yeah,
Coast.
I'll make sure to include all of the release information in there so
Yeah, let
people
me
know
find
to
out.
watch it.
But
Okay.
that yeah is in Los Feliz, and yeah, maybe get a couple other theaters. I don't know. Before then, we'll
Cool.
see. Anchor Bay Entertainment, they understand. They're big horror fans.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so nice. It's nice to work with
Physical
people who.
media, that's great.
Yeah. Oh,
Very cool.
cool. Well, have a great
All
rest
right.
of your day. I appreciate it
Thank you so
again.
much.
And yeah, it was great to meet you and to chat.
Yeah, thank you.